Welcome back to another episode of Fix Your BS, where we talk about belief systems and how those belief systems affect you and building your life under your terms in five major categories: relationships, business or career, health, faith or belief, and finances or money. And I always find the best guests to try to figure out how we can help you implement strategies and tactics to build those things, those pillars in your life. And today I have an amazing guest. As always, we have Lori McAfee. She is a sought-after life coach, speaker, author, podcast, and YouTube channel host of Get Your Rear in Gear with Lori. Love that, by the way. For over 25 years, Lori has been her husband's dental practice manager. Here, she learned the art of going beyond the treatment plan to help patients achieve the smile they always dreamed of. Now, as Lori is a certified life coach and emotional intelligence practitioner and a personality behavioral consultant, Lori helps clients reclaim their smiles with confidence. As one who believes life is a choice, she learned the hard truth of losing oneself and journey toward what it means to know and deeply love who she truly is. Lori is a wife to the love of her life, which is awesome, a mother, and Mimi to an all-girl gang. She's a lover of sunsets over a lake, the echoes of laughter, the tender warmth of love, and an unapologetic discipline of Jesus. Everybody give it up. She's here. It's Lori. Hey, Lori. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
One of my favorite questions, and what an amazing intro. One of my favorite questions, though, is asking people about success. And a lot of people define it differently. So I'll start off with just basically saying, hey, what is success to you?
To me, success is living a very good life, and I don't mean monetarily. Enjoying life fully and following your purpose that you were created for.
You know, that is so true, because you talked about being an unapologetic disciple of Jesus. And did I say discipline of Jesus? Is that what I said? I think I said discipline, but disciple, you know what I meant. I caught myself. Not everybody's perfect. But talking about the phrase, know thyself, I talk about know thyself a lot. And that's exactly what you're talking about, knowing your purpose. And how do you help people figure that out, know thyself, or figure out their purpose?
We have to start from where they are now and figure out where they want to be. And so I try to take my clients 30,000 view above where they are now so that they can see where they want to be, the person that they were created to be, because that is inside each and every one of us. And so I walk with them through that process, and we figure out what's the disconnect between your heart and your head. Because a lot of times people will say, my head knows that. I know that in my head, but my heart doesn't. And I'm like, okay, so where's the disconnect? What is that's in your way? And so often it's us that's in the way.
Something I teach a lot is the reason why we get in our own way. One of the things I talk a lot about is fear, but I also talk about the things that we've learned from our past, our experiences. Which is where your beliefs really come from. You connect things. This equals that, and we believe something, and therefore it turns into our thoughts, and then it turns into our emotions and turns into our actions. So how do you help somebody, once they figure out, hey, I kind of know what I want to do, how do you help them get over that fear to where they actually take action toward the thing they want?
Usually someone will come to me and they really don't exactly know where they're at even, and so we ask a lot of questions, and they end up saying things that they really don't even know that they're saying, like, I'm not enough, or I've never thought I was enough, or I rely on other people to validate me. And so people say so many things, and then they catch themselves like, did I really just say that? And so that's how we really walk through. And then, we'll go back. They have to go back through the past a little bit, into their childhood a little bit. And, they can recall a time that maybe it wasn't a parent, maybe it was a teacher that said something to them. And they carry that with them because they replay that story over and over again in their mind that teacher said that would never amount to anything.
Mm. And I love that you said story, because if you repeat something enough times in your conscious mind, your subconscious believes it. And
exactly.
it's just a story. If you just make it a blank slate and just go, what is real and what is true?
Right.
Well, it's what you believe. So
right.
How does somebody look in their past and find out what story they're saying, or how do you help somebody do that?
I ask them, what do they tell themselves? What are they saying to themselves? What are they saying about themselves to other people? What stories are going on in their mind? What do they hear themselves say? Because we often will say things to people that we feel about ourselves. And we really, we do that just to try to keep from, I don't know, sometimes why people do some of the things that they do. But, just people will say things like, oh, I'm not pretty, but thank you. Or I don't like the way that I look, or I don't like this about me, or, so we have to kind of listen to the things that we say to ourselves.
Yeah. A statement I like, and I don't know where I heard it or if I came up with it or whatever, but you can only love yourself. Someone can only love you as much as you love yourself. And if someone gives you a compliment and you find yourself rejecting that compliment, it's because you don't love yourself in that way. You don't believe that you're worthy of that compliment. And the same thing happens with your relationships or your money, your relationship with money, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others. And learning how to love yourself and say, I am valuable and I'm someone of worth is going to help. So how do you get someone to identify that, number one, and then number two, to say, you know what, I am valuable, I am worthy, I have worth. How do you get somebody to get over that hump to where they go, you know what, I really believe that. I believe I'm valuable and have worth.
I ask them, do they believe that about themselves? And we start from there. And then I ask them, well, if they're believers, most of my clients are believers. And if they're believers, I will ask them, what does scripture say about you? Because are you aligning your life with what Christ says about you? I mean, from the beginning of your life, even in Psalms, it talks about, I created you wonderfully, fearfully and wonderfully. He knows everything about us, even our thoughts, down to the grain of sand. And so if we know those things and we believe those things and our identity is rooted in Him, we really don't have to worry about anything else as far as our identity is concerned.
It's interesting. So that's what I talk about a lot with faith and belief, is that it's not necessarily religion. People think in terms of religion, and I'm like, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about belief that, is really an acceptance of something. It's saying, I 100% believe or have faith that the purpose that or the action I'm taking matches or aligns and will come to fruition with my purpose. But you have to know kind of what your purpose is and figure out through your experience what you like, what you don't like, and pay attention to that. Have you found that people that you work with are living someone else's life, or they're living what someone else tells them they should do? I mean, is that something you find on a regular basis? Or do you find that people are like, oh, I'm striving to live my life?
Oh, they say they're striving to live their life until they start talking about it. And then a lot of times you'll hear, well, my mom wanted me to do this, or my dad wanted me to do this, or, someone said I couldn't do this. So, or everyone else in my family was that, so I had to be. Or, they grew up in a very performance-based family. So therefore, they have to achieve success in order to feel like they're loved and accepted by their family.
Mm. It's so interesting, love and acceptance. Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, and one of them is love, or, feeling love from others. But part of that is loving yourself too. And John Maxwell talks about it with the law of the mirror. Everything you see externally is just a mirror reflection of what you believe about yourself internally. And if you see that, you find that you are looking at other people and like all you can see is their flaws. Well, those are flaws you actually see in yourself.
Absolutely.
How crazy is that, right? Like, I keep seeing this thing happen and it's a flaw in you. And there's a Bible verse about that. Don't judge the plank in their eye, or don't judge the splinter in their eye until you look at the plank in your own eye.
Exactly.
So what is a process that you take people through? Like, if you could give people some tips or tricks that they could find useful right now, that if to figure out if they are living their true purpose, or if they even know what that is. And number two, things that they could do to better live their purpose.
So my method is the love method. It's what it is, the letters it comes down to. And it's listen, own, value, and experience. But I will start with listen. But one of the main things that I ask my clients is, what are your values? And I'm so surprised because most people do not know what their values are. They don't really know what they stand for, what they believe in. Mine, faith, authenticity, love, my marriage, and fun. So those are the things that I incorporate all of that in my life. And so they don't know that. And so I take them through the process of, what are your values? Something else is, people will live from a victim mentality rather than a survivor mentality. And so they've always believed that they're going to be the victim. So they don't own their story most of the time, or the part that they played in where they are today. And then they don't know how to experience life or enjoy it or embrace it. And again, they don't listen to what they say.
When you say experience life, are you talking about really being present in the moment and experiencing the moment, or what do you mean by experiencing life?
Experience in the moment, being fully present in the moment, rather than me sitting here wondering what you're going to ask me next, or where's this conversation going to next. I just fully engage in what you're saying.
In a world that's so noisy, there's so many distractions. It's so hard for people a lot of times to disconnect from all those distractions and be able to fully engage and be in that moment. Any tips, tricks, hints that people could take action right now? Especially people need to raise their hand and look internally at themselves and not judge themselves, but be true, be real with yourself and go, am I someone who gets distracted, and before you know it, I've spent an hour on TikTok or Instagram? Or am I using this thing to my advantage, or is it using me? But there's a lot of ways being distracted in today's world with, TV and radio and phones and internet and computers and just so much hustle and bustle and just so much noise. What are your, techniques of getting someone to just disconnect for a minute from all that nonsense and just reconnect to themselves and get centered and in the moment and that sort of thing?
If they're talking to me, I want them to look at me. I want you to make eye contact with me. I don't want you looking off or looking at your phone when we're having a conversation. Fully be engaged by looking at the person, so that you can be present with that person. Lean into that person if you're talking with them. If you're alone, put your phone away. Because what I have discovered is we know the person that we're scrolling through their life better than we know the person that we're sitting beside. And that's what we do. Rather than knowing who we are and searching our own life, we search through other people's lives by scrolling through the phones. And so put the phone away, put TV away, computer, and just spend some time with yourself. Go outside.
Go outside.
And learn.
I love that.
Go outside. Get out. That is one of my things, is get outside. Sit on the porch even if it's raining. Do something to get you outside, but don't take your device with you.
It's interesting. If you want to watch I joked about this in one other meeting I had, but if you want to watch a college student have a panic attack, take their phone and their wallet and have them walk around the corner. They'll just be totally lost. What do I do? And unfortunately, I say college student, but that's kind of more of a all-encompassing phrase. It's just someone who's totally, I don't want to say addicted, but let's say reliant upon their phone and reliant upon using that to distract themselves from being uncomfortable or being, really just uncomfortable. Like any moment you're uncomfortable. I'm standing here and there's 10 people around and I don't know what to do and I don't know those people. So what do? I pop my phone up and start scrolling so I don't have to look at anybody. And if that's you, it's fine. But human contact and human engagement is one of the primary things that we as humans should be doing. We shouldn't be avoiding and hiding ourselves. I like to do the smile test, which is just stand there without your phone and don't be creepy and like just stare and smile at people. But, you make eye contact, you just smile. Hey, how you doing? That does a couple things. It gives you confidence, but it also gives the other person confidence and it makes them want to smile. It makes them want to return that smile back to you. So pretty exciting to watch that happen. Every now and then you get somebody that's a little squirrely, like, I don't know what to do. That person made eye contact with me. But realize that's more on them than it is you.
Mm-hmm. And a smile is a universal language. And, sometimes that smile is going to change that person's day.
100%. You never know that butterfly effect. One little thing, one little act, picking somebody up, talking to them kindly, lifting them up with a kind word or statement. I love to comment on people's clothing. Even if, and this is the normal thing that I've found, and I don't know if you do this, Lori, but I hope you don't, because I'm going to call it out right now. But it's so funny, I'll, there'll be a lady with earrings and I go, oh, wow, those are really nice earrings, very unique. And they'll go, yeah, I got them at TJ Maxx on sale and it was only $15. It was $25 off. And you're like, okay. Thank you. All that. Yeah, I don't know how you women do that, but most of the time it's women. And if you say something to a guy like, hey, nice shirt, they're like, thanks. My wife put it on me. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I
will take a compliment. It took me a while, but I will take a compliment. And I also have started in the past couple of years is I will actually walk up to someone and say, please don't take this the wrong way, but I think you're beautiful, or your smile is so pretty, or your outfit is so nice, or so. I don't do that to a guy, but I will do that to another lady. And I don't want her to feel like she has to tell me the same thing back. Just take the compliment and it's okay.
Yeah. And I agree. And in fact, I think two things. I love giving people action items. And so an action item that I would think would be really beneficial, that would be something people could go out and do right now. So take action on this. But it would be, number one, to go out and give people compliments at random. You see somebody, you like their whatever, it doesn't matter. Oh, hey, cool shoes. It's a simple little compliment. Number one, pay attention to their response, because what you're going to find is a majority of people don't know how to respond to that. And then number two, the second action item I would say is for people, when people give you a compliment throughout the week, the more compliments you give, by the way, the more compliments you will get, just so everyone knows. It will just happen. Not that you're doing it for that reason, but it will happen. But when someone gives you a compliment, pay attention to your automatic response, because most people will discount the words that the person said to you, the compliment they gave you. They'll say, well, hey, I really like your hair, which obviously I don't have that problem, but hey, I really like your hair. Oh, really? It's really bad today. Like, why is that their response? They just don't know how to take a compliment. So really, I would say take those two actions. Whoever's listening to this, do that, and Instagram message us, comment back to this and tell us the results, because we're all about, and I know you're about this too, but I'm all about making sure that people are doing things repetitively to improve the quality of their life and their terms. And so anyway, any other, tips, tricks, anything like that you've told people to really try to build their self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, their value, those type of things?
I think your posture is huge. I think the way that you walk into a room is huge. I've seen people who, depending on who they're with, their posture is upright and straight, they're smiling, shoulders back, but then they change their atmosphere and they totally regress. And so, I tell people, pay attention to your posture, and smile, and just remember, people are people. No one is different than you are. People are just people.
Well, and also, I think, go ahead, Laura.
And keep that in mind,
Yeah. I totally agree with that. People are people. And you have to realize too, that there's billions and billions of people on the earth. Okay. And we take things as if we're the only person on earth. You have to realize other people are going through other things that you don't even know about. And so when they respond to you in a way, you have to understand that they're responding based on their experience of life and their understanding and their beliefs and their thoughts and their emotions. I had somebody told me this story today. It was so funny. In my local town here, I do a lot of videos and I do a lot of educating, and my purpose, my intention is to help people to improve the quality of their life in general. So in my medical clinic, we do things to help people heal as naturally as possible and improve their joints and their muscles to where they can avoid meds, steroids, and surgery. And in the online world of my online business, I work with people's mentality and the belief systems, just like you do, and all of that. But it's funny because someone today said that they requested, someone from the community requested to one of my staff members that, hey, are there going to be other providers on the videos? Because, all I see is Dr. Wonderful. And I was just like, what does that even mean? Like, what? It's because I'm happy? Is it because I try to help people? Like, what does that mean? Why is that sarcasm there? And so that, for a lot of people, could ruin their day hearing that information. And I was just like, I can only be me and my intentions are good. And if somebody doesn't like the way I do it or the intentions or the things that are behind it, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, all I can do is be me. But that comes with that confidence. So, how would you help someone develop that confidence other than posture? And you've mentioned the words they use and you've mentioned other things. Is it something that they can work on multiple different ways to develop it? Or is there a simple strategy that you put into place? I mean, how does someone develop confidence? And
a lot of it has to do with a person. There are some people that no matter how hard you want that for them, they're going to struggle with their confidence and seeing themselves as they truly are. And what I encourage people to do is to really step back and to look at themselves and to really believe things about themselves, write things down, ask other people, ask other people what they think about you. And I think you'd really be surprised at what other people think about you. And that helps to build your confidence as well. And I don't mean confidence in an arrogant way. I don't mean confidence is in putting yourself above anyone else. I just mean confidence is being comfortable in who you are.
Yeah.
And being confident enough to get on this podcast when, there are so many things that if you're scared to death, do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because that may be just on the other side of your breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I encourage people to do. Take one step forward in what a confident person looks like. What does a confident person look like? And we may need to have someone that looks like that model that we want. Not that we want to duplicate that person, but someone that we can look at and maybe use as a mentor and even talk to them and have someone in your life who is going to really point you back to truth, not tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But allow them to be heard, to be seen, and to be loved as well.
Wow. Heard and seen and loved. I love that.
It's a choice.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. It's interesting too. Like I heard this thing the other day and it talked about the different chakras, which growing up, I grew up on a farm out in the middle of there, and that seemed all like hokey and whatever. But the chakras are, just centers of energy within the body. And now as a chiropractor for a long time, your body has energy. That's what it emits. It emits vibrational energy. And so there's centers of those energies. And I was listening to this thing and they talked about the different chakras within the body and the different statements you can make to kind of activate those. And a lot of times people use the I am statements, instead of saying, something negative, you change it to a positive. Like if you're wanting more money, you say, I am wealthy, I am abundant, I am attracting money. But then you can also use things like I have, I do, not I will, but I am, I have, I do, I love. And you make these statements and you can pretty much use the words consciously until your subconscious goes, you know what? I believe you. I am confident. I have confidence. I am someone who exudes confidence. I love myself. I love the good things that I do, and I really try to do good for other people. And when you start saying stuff like that, even me saying it, I'm like all fired up. Yeah, I'm excited, but you should do those things. Now, what do most people do? They say, I'm so tired. I'm so frustrated. Money never shows up, and there's just never enough of it. And they just talk themselves into this mentality of scarcity, like you said. So what are some things that you help, tell people to help them create that, not only confidence, but the abundant mindset of positive, abundant, limitless abundance that is our universe? That how do they tap into that?
I do exactly what you said. Start saying that you're already that, and you're already believing that about yourself. I am not an author other than the fact that I've written some blogs. However, I've started writing a book, so I'm an author. Yeah. I have not spoke on a large stage. That is my goal, and I have a huge goal of speaking in front of 10,000 people. I am a speaker. Yeah. So I already say those things about myself, and other people will say that too. I'm like, well, do you want to be that? Yes. That's inside you, right? Because that's something that God's put in you. Yes. Then that's what you are. Then speak that about yourself. Because when we start telling ourselves these things, then that's what we are. If I were to look at myself, because I had a baby when I was 17. So if I were to look at myself as the world looks at someone who has a baby when they're 17, as someone who's, majority of the people, especially in a smaller town, a lot of times, you're not going to be successful. You're never going to make it. You're never going to have anyone decent. You're going to have 10 kids before no, because I'm not going to be a statistic. So therefore, that's not what I'm going to do. So believe those things about yourself, because I could have easily fallen into that same trap of, I was a pregnant teenager, so I can't ever do this. According to whose standards?
I think it makes a better story.
Yeah, that's not the standard I put on myself. That's something that I'm allowing other people to tell me. What's my standard for myself? What's the one Jesus says that I am?
And it's so funny how people cast judgment on other people when they really don't look into their own lives. And, there's lots of things that people can look into their own lives and go, I should probably improve that. So, there's a difference between spreading rumors and gossip even in your head of someone else casting that judgment on someone. There's a difference, by the way, between judging and casting judgment. To me, I define those terms as judging something is getting the information and then taking your experience and saying, well, that's good or that's bad or that's positive or negative or whatever. But casting judgment is telling someone that they are wrong for doing something, or they're less than for doing something, and you're casting judgment on somebody. And I just don't agree with that. You don't know the perspective of their life. So what I look at it is, I just tell people, look, take the emotion out and just love on the person. Just be there for them. Like, hey man, I'm here for you. I don't know if you're going through something good or bad or whatever, but I'm here for you. And how can I be of a resource for you? And eventually, that people will come around, even if they don't accept it right then, they'll come around to it, because a lot of people are jaded. They it's hard for them to accept help.
Oh yeah, because they don't want to admit it. People don't want to admit that they're going through a situation because they don't want to be seen like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're afraid to ever they've stuffed all that down for so long, and they really don't want people to know that they're struggling. Right. They don't want people to know the truth about their life. They want everything to look like it's photoshopped and Instagram perfect, rather than real life. And sometimes real life sucks.
A lot of times there's things that pop up in real life that suck, and it's a lot easier to go, okay, this sucks. I accept it. I'm aware of it. I acknowledge it. I accept it. Now let's create a action plan to where I can, use it for positive or use it to my advantage, instead of trying to fake it and drag it out and cover it up. That just makes it longer and more painful. And then someone eventually will find out about whatever thing it is. And then they're going to be like, wait, I thought everything was fine. And then powder keg. No, it's not fine.
Well, and I found too that with emotions, I use the example of a wave. An emotion will come in. Sometimes it's like a wave that comes in really calm, and it just goes in to the shore and it goes back out. Or sometimes it comes crashing in pretty hard. But know that that's going to go back out. Yeah. So accept it for where it is right there, for whatever it came in as. Deal with it right then. Name it what it is. Don't call it something that it's not. Don't stuff it away. Call it what it is, but also allow it to go back out. Feel it for a minute and then allow it to go back out.
Well, I think that comes from the understanding that emotions are there to be used. They're there for your improvement in life. They're there for you. They're not happening to you. Is that your understanding of it?
They're an indicator, not a dictator.
That's a good one. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to steal that. Indicator, not a dictator. I like that.
Not a dictator, yeah. They just indicate things to you. And emotions are not good or bad, because I can be sad about a situation that might be good. My daughter's getting married. I was sad, but I was happy for them too. Wow. So there are things that you have to, it's the way that you look at emotions. And I'm an emotional person. I'm a very emotional feeler. My husband is a very logical person. Sometimes that dynamic is a little different in our relationship. But emotions are totally indicators.
I find that a lot of relationships, men and women, are like that, though. The man is more like logical, as far as I have this thing, I need to solve a problem or fix the situation or whatever. It's very logical. And women tend to be a little more emotional, which is why most women actually have better memories, because your memory is actually attached from the emotion, not necessarily at the moment. And so how does that play into the dynamic of your relationship, and how I'm sure other people right now are having this epiphany where they're like, oh my gosh, that's the deal with my husband and I, or that's the deal with my wife and I. So, I mean, how does that, how do you guys use that as a positive for the marriage or for the relationship?
Well, we know how each other are first. We really fully understand each other. We've really gotten to know each other. We don't hide things from each other. We are very honest. And I will ask him, how are you feeling about that? And he may say, oh, it's, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Let's talk about this, because I want to know really and truly, how's he feeling about it? Mm-hmm. He don't have to perform well for me in this. He just tell me how you're really feeling. And then I have to make sure that I don't respond in a way that's going to be a trigger either, for me or for him. So we both have to understand that we need to make sure we're in a good spot whenever we are having a type of discussion like that. If we're not, if I can't give it what I need to that day, then we probably don't need to discuss something that's pretty serious.
Well, and you're talking about basically the state of emotion that you're in. And so what I learned from a mentor of mine, Brandon Dawson, is high emotion equals low intelligence. So if you have high emotion, either good or bad emotion, or positive or negative, or good emotions that feel good or bad, then you don't need to be making decisions that need intelligence. And I'm sure everyone can relate. When you've been mad at someone, then you might have said some things that you probably really didn't mean. It's because you had low intelligence. It was more of the emotional reaction. So my wife and I do the same thing. When there's an emotional reaction of some sort in any way, shape, or form, if it's especially a negative one, we just kind of go to our own corners for a little bit. It's a boxing ring. We're in it together. But let's just go to our corners and take a little break. Let's just take a moment. And then, hey, when you're ready to discuss, and I'm ready to discuss, we'll come back into the middle of the ring and we'll discuss. But we're going to take our gloves off when we do that. So, is that something that you found?
It is, and I think too, you have to know: is it really worth arguing and disagreeing over? Make sure you know what you're having this discussion over, and make sure that it's worth it. Because some things that we think that are so important are not really that important. So yes, we do that. I'm very much want to fix it right now, talk about it right now, let's discuss it right now. And he's very much, let me have a minute, So I respect that, and he respects me. So knowing each other and accepting the person for who they are, not what we want them to be, is huge to me. I understand, and I accept him right exactly where he is. He's logical. He's emotional, but he's not overly emotional. And we're both gentle with each other in those ways.
I always say the best relationships, especially if in a marriage, the best marriage. My wife and I were in Memphis a couple weeks ago, and was talking with this guy, and he said, "Oh, you guys been married how long?" I said, 19 years. He goes, "Wow, what's the secret? I can't hold down a relationship." I said, the secret is that both parties are trying to help the other person. So I'm trying to help my wife fulfill her greatest purpose and be the best person she can be based on her, not the person I want her to be. And so if I'm trying to fill her cup up constantly, and I'm trying to give her the resources, and I'm trying to give her the backing that she needs to support her, and she's doing the same for me, then we both build and grow this relationship together where we're the best versions of ourselves. Now, if you constantly knock the other person down and chip them down a little bit every time and try to change them who you want them to be, there's a disconnect there, and they're not going to be truly fulfilled or happy or even feel loved. And that comes with, you got to know yourself, but you also have to communicate with your partner and trust the other person. Was there ever a moment where you were like, where you came to that understanding? Do you remember a moment like that? Or was it just kind of like, that's always kind of how I knew it was and worked towards it?
It was kind of always how I knew how it was. However, in the middle of it, somewhere along the way, I made him my all in all. I made him my everything. And that wasn't fair to him, and it wasn't fair to me. And during that time, I also lost myself. Mm. And so the greatest thing that I did for our marriage, which we've been married 31 years, and thank you. And I'm very proud of our 31 years, and was to learn how to love myself. And not only that, but to fully allow him to love me. To fully open myself up for total love, both ways, him to love me and me to love him, and to give and to receive love and grace.
It's very well said. Very beautiful. Any final things that you'd like to say? It's been a great conversation. I hope people got a lot out of it, and I hope they're taking action on some of these things we've talked about. Obviously, they can look you up online, and we have all the links below, but anything else that you'd like to say as far as any final words or thoughts, any strategies, any tips, tricks, hints that you can give people to, from your perspective?
Have fun, laugh every day, find something to laugh about, whether it's you or somebody else. Laugh every day, and truly learn to love who you are. And do know that love is the secret ingredient to life.
That's awesome. That is so true. Love is the secret ingredient of life. An intense feeling or deep affection, a great interest and pleasure in something. That is what love is defined as. So thank you for having this conversation. I loved this conversation. I had a lot of pleasure, deep interest in it. I really appreciate you being here and showing up for everybody and giving your tips and tricks and hints. And I always call it strategy and tactics and that sort of stuff, but really, it's tips, tricks, hints, those type of things that people really want to hear. So everyone, thank you, Lori. I really appreciate it. And once again, click the links below. Do you have anything else you want to add? Any final things? Because that was beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. Your audience can find me on my website, LoriMcAfeeCoaching.com. My podcast, Get Your Rear in Gear with Lori. And if you'll click the link, if your audience will click the link, then they'll get the journal, the gratitude journal that I have for them.
That's awesome. Gratitude. That is such a great thing to create in your life. So that's awesome. A gratitude journal. Thank you for that gift. I really appreciate that. Everyone that's listening to this should click on those links and look up Lori and her world. And she's a great resource. And if you align and are inspired, check her out and join her movement as well. So this has been, I'm Dr. Greg Persley, also known as Dr. G, but this has been another episode of Fix Your Belief Systems, where this podcast, I love it more and more every day, because we have great people on here that give great strategies, but they help you build the life you want to build on your terms, in relationships and your career or business, in your money, your health, and your faith or belief. And this has been another great episode. See you next time. Click all the links below. Find Lori everywhere. Like I said, on your terms in all 5 of those pillars. And we will see you next time.